Just went to an event organized by Boost Heroes. I was lucky enough to get invited by an investor called Giovanni De Caro. I listened to a couple pitches of the best startups here in Naples, and now we're off to another event called InnoStars, where we'll meet our friends My Doctor 24. There are a million ways to create a startup, so I visited an event organized by InnoStars called the IT Health Campania to learn about the trends and the newest technology in the health industry. I met Giulio Astarita and his brother Luca there, who are co-founders of My Doctor 24. My Doctor 24 is basically an app that stops parents cluelessly Googling when their child is ill. They have a baby diary, they have the feature to connect with their pediatricians, and they can also chat with My Doctor 24. I really like Giulio, so I invited him for an interview to understand his ideas, his thoughts, and his reasoning behind My Doctor 24 and his other business ventures. So you're the CEO and co-founder of My Doctor. You've worked in marketing, in communications, you are involved with PokerStars, Gioco Digitale, and now you're in cryptocurrencies, right?
Maybe I'm not a great manager, but somehow they say that I'm a visionary. Not in the sense that I am going to be Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, because I think that they are like another level of humanity that I can't even reach, but somehow I like to think what may happen in a relatively close future. With gambling, it was, for example, that was not a self-fulfilling prophecy, because actually it wasn't my prophecy, but it was much easier than it looks. Land gambling started in the late 90s. Gambling is a small margin market, so you need an insane amount of players to cover the fixed costs. After that, actually the fixed costs are like...
Because of technology?
Yep. The fixed costs are most of the ground part of the cost. Yeah, you have to pay taxes, of course, but still. The moment you go into the break-even, getting one more player costs you like zero most of the times, and to maintain the player. And so it's pure money, but in order to get to that break-even, you need so many players that the startup right now needs probably worldwide to function worldwide probably means 80 to 100 million, and it's absolutely stupid to put 100 millions in gambling right now.
Going back to startups, I believe that technology itself, it doesn't really change anything and it doesn't disrupt industries. What disrupts industries is technology coupled with knowledge of other industries, such as health, for example. You actually have to be a doctor and a technology person, and then when you combine these two, then you can actually... Exactly. So my question is, what did you learn in gambling and then in My Doctor, and how can you use this for your future ventures and future ideas?
The greatest thing that I learned in gambling was how to interact with people. It might sound strange, but most of the things of the promotions, of the idea, of the tournaments, of whatever I created while I was working in the gambling industry, I realized it was good talking with other people, with the actual customers, try to understand their needs. People don't say I have this need, it's too easy, it would be so easy. You have to understand, out of 1,000 things that they're telling you, most of the time whining about something, there are 3 things out of 1,000 that are probably very good ideas. And if you talk with a lot of people and you keep recovering the very same 3 things across a lot of people that usually are smarter than others, you realize that probably those 3 things are extremely true. So one thing that I learned in that industry is that keep talking with people.
And what about My Doctor? What's the takeaway from My Doctor?
You keep underestimating difficulties when you are a startupper. I thought that a lot of things were easier to do or faster to do. And even being able to make people from different fields speak the very same language, it's very hard. So if our IT developers are talking a language that my brother Luca, as a doctor, is not able to speak at all. Carmine and the guys that help us with all the presentation and marketing stuff is talking a language that the IT guys and Luca are not speaking. I realized that a good manager, much more than when I was in charge of a business worth millions of euros, a good manager is the one that is acting as a
gateway
of communication between the other people. Because I am not good as a doctor as Luca, I am not an IT guy, I'm not good as you in pointing everything out in a presentation, but I understand a bit of everything. I think that one of the major reasons for startup not having success is not because they don't have a good product or a good idea. They probably have a good product or a good idea. Most of the times, if not all the times, they lack execution at all.
And I think this goes back to what we were talking before, that the manager has to communicate to different people and also to everyone else who actually buys the product.
Yeah, I don't want to be rude or whatever, but a lot of people that were presenting yesterday were probably extremely good in their field. They really knew the stuff they were presenting. Much better than I know even my doctor, just to make it clear. But they don't know nothing of what happens after you create a product.
Just had an interview with my friend Giulio Astarita, a very clever guy. He used to work in gambling.
If you're at a certain point and you have a goal that is very far away and you really want to get to that goal, just start. Eventually you won't get there, but probably you will find a couple of alternatives on the road that might be even better. So just do that. It's much better than staying here in this place and do nothing. Start moving.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please follow me and subscribe, like it and share it with your friends to see more content just like this. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.